DHS, DHS, DHS. Let's go, DHS. We've been waiting for that for 2 years. I called that shit. Who saw me post it in the thread? Jeff, did you see? Early in the game thread, I said, I'm calling DHS. I said 7-5. Okay, it wasn't 7-5. What was it?
11 and
4.
Something.
Still. How awesome was that? So
it's
awesome
magic.
to see that. If
Magic.
do anything close to that, Geronimo, like the beginnings, they might have a little bench.
You know what's crazy is DHS had not scored in the previous 9 games. He played 100, I think it was 100. I added up, 118 minutes maybe, hadn't scored. And then he goes off, or not goes off, but then he has a great game. If they can get that or anywhere close to that from him, I mean, they didn't need it tonight, but they might need it at some point.
Well, the funny thing is that's all I think we wanted from DHS this year, right? Just to be able to run a little bit, play some defense, tough nose stuff, get some loose balls, make some layups and stuff on the break. Hitting an open 3 was just bonus, but that's all that was really expected of him. He hasn't quite shown that this year clearly, but I mean, I think everyone would be happy to sacrifice whatever he wasn't able to do during the regular season if he's able to be a really good option in the NCAA tournament. So no complaints here. I mean, that was certainly a very, very business-like effort once they got past that nervy first 5 minutes or so where they, we've talked a lot about the experience on this team. There are a lot of experienced players, but not a lot of guys who played in the NCAA tournament before, and it showed. But boy, once they hit about the 8-10 minute mark in the first half, they were gone and they were not coming back. No
looking back. And they didn't even play their best game. The 5-minute beginning you talked about, free throw shooting awful, 3-point percentage not good either. And you're going to have games where you don't shoot your best. If you can still win and win by 30 whatever points, that's very good. They're going to need the shooting upcoming, but for now,
the free throws are becoming a bit of a concern with the bigs, especially. Reese has reverted back a little bit. Queen hasn't been as good, I think, as he was earlier in the season. I mean, they only shot 50% or 51% from the line, I think. No, 50% from the line, 51% from the floor. So make that make sense.
Yeah, 51%. From 3, they shot 7 of 16.
Yeah, so they were about 40.
Better than
40, 45 maybe. But yeah. Again, there's really not a lot to break down here. Grand Canyon was as overmatched as we expected they would be. It was the exact type of team that you would kind of beg for if you wanted a good matchup for this Maryland team. They run, they shoot a lot of threes, but not at a good clip, and they turn the ball over, and they did all 3 of those things, and Maryland feasted to a 33
I want to say real quick, I have a surprise coming for Larry maybe in a minute. I'm not going to ruin it, but Larry, just keep.
Oh, I know what it is.
No, don't say anything. Nope, don't say anything, man.
Is it what I've been begging for a long time?
Yeah, I think Van Pelt might jump on just in a minute.
Yes, let's go.
I thought it was going to be my bottle of Clutch vodka, but clearly not.
Hey, one time I got in trouble because I acted too much like a fan, but you got to give me this one, Jeff. Come on.
Well, I'm just a little scared because this is a first-round blowout win at this exciting.
I know. Right.
I'm a little nervous about the shirtless, like blood dripping from your mouth for no reason, whatever else might be in play in like a Sweet 16 win.
Yeah. Right. Well, the same thing happened in the Big Ten. They blew out, I forget who it was even at this point. Illinois? No. Who did they blow out in the first game? It was Illinois. And then the next game, obviously, we all know what happened. Let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. I don't know. It just is what it is, right? I mean, you'd certainly rather, I think, play a great game like they did today for 35 or 32 minutes rather than struggle their way to a close win. So, yes, there's always we're Maryland fans at heart. So that you're always looking for the next shoe to drop, but I don't think you can really complain about just about anything here.
Well, just a couple of things that we talked about. You want to clean up the free throw shooting. You can't shoot. What did they shoot? 50%?
50% from the line. That's no
Can't
good.
do that. Can't do that. That's going to come back to bite you against better teams. Got to do better than that. And the 3-point percentage I remembered was earlier in the game, but then Selton and DHS both hit one late. That probably helped.
They went off a bit in the second half.
In the last
really even that
minutes,
out.
Yeah. So
I mean, hey, look, we're talking about an NCAA tournament game where they were able to put Ben Murphy and Sotel and the walk-ons in. I mean,
yes,
there's
beautiful.
really not a lot to complain about here. And, and like we said, we were a little concerned about the distraction. Obviously, there's a reason this is our fourth show this week. It's been a week at the University of Maryland. Damon Evans has been reported by some other journalists, even though Jeff obviously had this ahead of a lot of people, and so did Kevin Willard, that Damon is going to accept. Yeah, Kevin Willard, now breaking news journalist, is going to accept the AD job at Southern Methodist University. So he's out of here. You did worry a little bit because of Willard's presser yesterday and all this other stuff, is whether he was, we still don't know. Villanova still doesn't have a coach, so he could still be targeted for that job, especially if Maryland's not able to step up to the plate in the way that he is asking them to do so. So this isn't over. And you did worry a little bit about this being a distraction. Clearly it wasn't. That's a good thing. They've moved on past this one. And you got an upset in the 5-12 game. So now you're facing the 12 seed Colorado State with Nico Medved, who's one of those kind of analytic, happy guys when it comes to, you don't want to hear me talk anymore.
There he is. There he is. SVP. How you feeling right now, my friend?
Been an interesting couple of days.
Hasn't it?
Yes, it has. But right now, right this moment, feeling great.
Look, I've said this forever. All you want when you make the tournament is 40 more minutes. And then Sunday, you're going to want 40 more and et cetera, et cetera. And especially with this team, it's been a lot of fun. You just get greedy. You want to enjoy watching them continue to play. And I mean, I don't know how y'all felt, but I don't know enough about Grand Canyon. They've got experience and it's a little scary. They don't shoot it great, but you're like, I don't know. You just don't want to be in a 4-point game at the under 4 scared to death. And instead, that was never where this game was headed. So it was that rare tournament game where you're watching in the complete absence of any stress. And that's, again, after these last couple of days, that's a pretty welcome thing.
Scott, is this team better suited to win a national title than any team other than the two, in 2001, 2002 that you can recall? Maybe the Steve Francis team, although they didn't prove it in the postseason. I really thought
that Graves team had a chance. I mean, look, the Duke team that they beat on senior night won it all, didn't they? I think they won the title. I thought that Graves team, if they don't get beat by Corey Lucius at the buzzer, they play Northern Iowa, and then it would have been Tennessee to go to the Final Four. That team had a chance. They didn't have superstars, but they had great it all added up really, really nicely. So that team had a chance. I think the COVID team had a chance. I know how the folks on the board feel. You guys want to bring up the Rutgers loss again? I mean, Jesus Christ. They were terrible. Shut up. I mean, I get it. That team was limping to the finish line, but they had pros. They had good guards. They had a chance. Didn't get the chance. But you know what? Whatever the past was. Right now, Colorado State Sunday, they got a pro for sure, maybe a couple. They got a chance. I mean,
great
why
coach
not?
Too.
Yeah, they do, and they do have a coach that just won by the largest margin in the history of Maryland basketball in the tournament. Is that right?
That is true.
Right. Yeah.
That's true statement.
I was wondering it down the stretch. I was thinking, I don't remember them ever blowing anybody out
Not
this
like
in
that.
advance. Yeah.
I've said for the last couple of days, boys, that if they may go on a run, that he's got the hammer. Well, they win another one, he'll have a sledgehammer. And folks in Maryland, I don't know, man. We just figure it out. Just I'm not gonna say anything because I'm not trying to make anybody whatever. Just figure it out.
Yeah, Scott, I think that's where we landed on this thing. I mean, it's obviously been a week. This is our 4th show this week, which is typically not a thing that we do. But because of all the swirling stuff around Damon Evans and all these things, I think our biggest fear was that they would really come out and it would be a distraction. We've seen this happen when Kevin took the Maryland job. He was in the tournament, and Seton Hall put up about 40 points in that game, as I recall. Yeah. So when you watch the first 5 minutes of this one, I think it was a little squirrely, right? I mean, they put it together, but it was a bit concerning. No doubt. I mean, the start, they looked like they felt what it was. It's different, right? The court is an NCAA tournament court. You're playing some team you don't know. They've got more people in purple than we've got in red. You miss a few shots. You uncharacteristically turn the ball over. You're behind, and you look up and you're thinking, well, is this going to be one of those days? And then deep breath, Jacoby hits a 3, they're ahead, they never trail again. And in pretty short order, it was like, all right, this Maryland's a lot better than the team they're playing. And so, yeah, I mean, it definitely in that first, whatever it was, under 16, maybe even up to the under 12, it didn't feel great. But then, they clearly, I think the game plan will probably be similar, although Colorado State can really shoot it from outside, and Grand Canyon that's not what they do. But you're still going to have a massive size advantage. So I'm sure you're just going to try to pound Juju and Derek in the paint on Sunday. But that was obviously what they were going to try to do, and they did it well.
Scott, everybody's been talking about the Crab 5, and for good reason, and talking about the lack of a bench. But a few games ago, Jordan Geronimo comes out of nowhere. You get DHS today. All of a sudden, you feel like there's a bench emerging, helping to help maybe make a run happen?
Listen, you want all hands on deck, and you want more than just 5, particularly in games where they'll have a talent advantage on Sunday. It doesn't mean they're going to win. But then if you play Florida, well, you're in the deep end of the pool, and Florida's got 10 dudes. So you're going to want more than 5. So, yeah, it's great. I think that, what was telling, and this has been a topic of conversation. Jeff, you've written about it. It's been a struggle. DHS comes out. He's a guy from PBI. He's a 5-star guy. And we all understand what the thought was that he could be. And it hasn't been that. But he's been a great teammate. He hasn't just pouted and checked out. You've seen him being supportive. And when he hit that corner 3, you saw that bench doing his sort of trademark, strap on the belt. I assume that's what that is. I'm an old guy, but I think I can put 2 and 2 together. When he hit that 3, you see the way they were, roaring for him. And just to see the ball go in the bucket a few times, that's great. And Jordan's been an energy guy all season long. In fact, I've been wanting to see him get just a little bit more time, just because he's a veteran presence that boards, energy plays, even hit a 3. I forget who it was against. That was a no, good shot moment. But yeah, anything you're getting from that bench, especially now, is a win. And it was nice to see a couple of those guys get some, not just minutes, but some buckets.
I know you have relationships with a lot of the principals in the situation, but what were your thoughts on just the things that went down the past couple days?
Well, I'm a Maryland guy, and I told Gary the same thing I told Mark, the same thing I told Kevin. Like, I'm going to support whoever is the coach of Maryland basketball. All right. But I really like Kevin Willard. All right. I really like him. And I really think he's a good basketball coach. And what he did this year in adapting to an NIL environment, hit home runs with Jacoby and Rodney and Miguel. And I want them to figure this out. I don't want our coach to go coach Villanova. And I think that in this, we understand football. We understand there's more people in football. But Maryland has won a national championship in my lifetime in basketball. And you don't need nearly the amount of resources for basketball. But I think if Kevin to air it out the way he did, I knew the stories. I just was surprised he chose to share them there. But that reaches a point where the guy's clearly got no F's left to give, and he just is like, this is where we're at. And then, Damon's going to SMU. God bless him. So somebody else is going to be in that chair. But whoever is going to be in that chair.
You.
Yeah,
right?
you.
I told the
Please.
people I did
Please.
promise the people on Twitter that I would hassle you to take the job. It seems like a smart career
Here's how
move
this
to
would
me.
go. Here's how this would go. Kevin, how much do you need? Okay, here it is. And then Locke would be like, yo, Van Pelt, what the? And then I'd have to talk to Locks. And then we'd have Brendan, we'd have Sasha, and we'd have Tills and Swope, and I'll just keep going. I mean, I get the challenge of that. I really do. Because every coach wants more, and you could make a case, I'm sure, that every coach could explain why they need more. But I think that Maryland basketball, and this is a longer conversation, but I mean, there's a more direct path to be competitive at this level in basketball through the years than in football. And I am older than all you guys. I used to see Jerry Claiborne in Bird Stadium back in the 70s, all right? And they were ACC champs then. It's just a really hard thing to do, to compete with the Ohio States and the Penn States and the Michigans and the Oregons. Everyone understands all this. Well, in basketball, they just finished second in the league, and they're a 4 seed. And again, this is where Locks could roll his eyes at me and say, well, we need this because football's football. And I'd say, I get it. But it's not my job, and it'll never be my job to be the AD. And I appreciate the challenges of whoever is the AD. I just know that Kevin Willard needs to continue to be Maryland's basketball coach. And whoever's going to be in that chair needs to figure out what has to happen so that can continue to be the case. And that's the last thing I care to say about that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I was going to say onto a less awkward topic. If you project this out a little bit, the one advantage to having the crowd 5 as it is, and having the scoring to a degree where you can have 1 or 2 guys have an off game and still kind of be all right. Mm-hmm. It does seem to me that the one guy you can't have a bad game is Jacoby Gillespie. It does. If you look back at the losses, the closer games, it's when Gillespie's really having a stinker that Maryland struggles. Is that how you see it as well?
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, if we're honest, right? Like, and you look at this season in totality, they didn't have a bad game. They really didn't. The Washington game was a weird game. They had a 9-point lead in the second half, and then just everything went wrong. Gillespie and Queen were in foul trouble in that game. Mm-hmm. That was and Gillespie got his 5th foul on really just a bizarre. I don't know. It's almost like his brain turned off. He just fouled a guy in a break for no reason, and it was his 5th, and it was a fatal absence to not have him. Rice is great, and Miguel's great, and obviously the bigs are the bigs. But Jacoby's the guy that's got his hand on the wheel. So yes, I agree with that. I think he needs to be great for them to make a run, and that will start Sunday. And if they get to next week and you presumably play a Florida team, then it'll obviously have to continue there. But I think the good news is that by and large, almost without fail, I'd say that Washington game's the one that you could go, that was the one. We're all allowed to have a night that's not our best. So he's been phenomenal, man. I mean, and you go back and you remember, and I know all the people that are listening, they're on your board. Like everybody was interested in Doug, and everybody was interested in Mac, and they were DC guys, and one went to K-State, one went to Georgetown. Neither one of those teams is in the tournament. And Jacoby Gillespie has been a gigantic reason why Maryland is now not only in the tournament but advancing to the next round. So that's all part of the way I think Kevin and his staff did an awesome job last year in the portals. So again, and part of what we're talking about as it relates to the future is, I think we all understand there's gonna be a raise for Jacoby and Rodney, and you're gonna want some continuity in the head coaching chair. And you're gonna need some funds to keep those guys around, because you're gonna lose some bigs. But if you got those guys in the backcourt, then you got a chance to build around it. So they've been great. The whole 5, the whole season's been awesome. And this to me, I did an interview in the Sun about, like, to me, this is what Maryland basketball is supposed to be. But you want a team that has a chance, and this team has a chance.
I would like to ask everybody, we got a lot of people here right now. Please do us a favor and subscribe, click like, all that stuff. SVP Scott Van Pelt has promised he will be with us after every win in the tournament.
Yep.
I didn't promise that.
Yep.
But
yeah, he absolutely did.
Oh.
I'm-
Well,
I'm-
I'll tell you this. I'm not going to be.
I'm not going to invite him if you guys do this. I'm not going to keep inviting him. If you guys
I'm
do this.
sorry.
Hey, listen.
joking.
If they win Sunday, then I'll be here, and then
Oh, there we go.
I'm in. I'm
And then
in.
you'll be at
Listen,
the games.
Listen,
thereafter,
You going to
I
San
would say.
Francisco?
No. I actually we have it's my kid's spring break, so I'm out of the country, which means that if they win Sunday, we're gonna have to make arrangements to figure out a viewing situation, but we will.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure that none of the folks listening are superstitious enough to, I don't know, watch the game on the same TV, wear the same socks, whatever. If I come on and Maryland wins, I'm not going to be the asshole, excuse me, that's going to screw this up by not showing up if they win.
There
next
we
time.
go.
So, yeah.
Well, how good they're playing right now? What's your feeling? What's your projection? What do you think they're doing in this tournament right now?
It's impossible to know, not knowing who's in front of them. I mean, all you know right now is this: your full attention is required to beat Colorado State. Nico's an awesome coach. His team shoots the crap out of the ball, and they've been playing really well. So, I mean, I'm not trying to talk like a coach. I assume Maryland will be favored, but Colorado State's good. So you gotta focus on the next 40, and then I presume they'll be playing the Florida team. They will not be favored against. Florida's backcourt's awesome. They got way more depth in the front court. It would take Maryland's best effort to beat Florida, but I think the good news is there have been years. Remember that Maryland played Memphis one year, and they just got the absolute brakes beat off because they had no chance. Well, Florida could beat Maryland, but it wouldn't be because Maryland doesn't have a chance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think anyone listening right now would gladly sign up for 40 on the clock against Florida, and let's see how it adds up, because Maryland could win that game. And again, that goes back to the whole, you just want to have a chance. And so I'm optimistic. I say it all the time, boys. Be optimistic because it costs the same. So I'm optimistic.
Well,
Point spread
you
is
look at
7.5. I just looked it up.
What
but
is
look
it?
at what
7.5.
7.5. The SEC so far, I think, is 6-6. The
Mhm.
Big Ten 5-0, and I guess Michigan was close, but most of the games are blowouts. That's got to give you some confidence. Hey, maybe the SEC is overrated. Their analytics are playing each other, and the Big Ten is not quite. No, don't think so.
I think the SEC is really good. I think when you get 14 teams in the tournament, you're going to lose some games.
Yeah, but even their
wins.
wins haven't been dominated.
That's fair. That's fair. It's all matchups. I mean, it's who do you play? I do think it'd be nice. I'm interested in. I'm going to ask you a question. Do y'all feel like Big Ten people? It took me a long time, but I'm a Big Ten. Like I watched a ton of Big Ten basketball this year. Like a team like Wisconsin that used to play an excruciating style. Like I liked watching them. They could score in the 90s. And then you look at the old league we were in, and the ACC is horrendous. Like I've become a Big Ten person to the point that I'm kind of. I mean, I root for the teams to do well. I root for the rest of the league to do well.
Well, it does feel like you don't quite get Big Ten, rugby anymore. Like it used to be kind of relatively, 65 to 50 something games.
Right. I think people understand.
Now you see, I don't know if it's just the coaches that are.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I think Painter's a great coach. Izzo's always going to play a grinded into dust sort of thing, be tougher than you. We certainly saw it when they came to College Park, and that's what it was. But I just think that there's a ton of talent. You add a guy like Dusty May, you add a guy like, I think Willard added the analytic approach where they've clearly got a different way of looking at it, more tempo. And then there's also just some great coaches.
Yeah.
I love Painter. I know he hadn't won a title yet. They, just ran into UConn last year. They could have, but it's an incredibly deep league in terms of coaches. But you're right, just in terms of the style, it's not as many. You don't see 46, 43 games because those were horrendous. And so, I don't know. I root for the league in general. But obviously, there's only one team I care if they win or not, and that's the one we all love. And here we are.
I think we lost.
Yeah, it is
Jeff.
certainly nice that we lost him temporarily, but it is nice to feel like it's not just like I don't know if there were any elite Big Ten teams this year. Michigan State's close, Maryland's close,
Wisconsin might be,
but compared to some of those,
yeah,
you never know. You never know which Wisconsin you're going to get per, at least.
That's fair.
Also, unfortunately, what I just said about
like
the
they
SEC,
seem a little schizophrenic.
Mr. Popo lets us know that Florida's up
Yeah.
30 right now. So that's a little discouraging after just talking about how the SEC doesn't look good. But we'll see how that goes, I guess. Let me add Jeff back here. He's back. There we go.
I have
Jeff,
to tell you
freezing
guys,
stream.
I have to just my family is eating dinner, and I'm going to go eat with my family. But I will promise you
Yes.
that if Maryland beats Colorado State Sunday, then we'll run this back in some form or fashion. Is that a deal?
That is a deal. Thank
see
you
you
so
Sunday.
much.
Fair enough. Appreciate
Not
the time,
gonna
brother.
be the AD. Not going to be the AD, Jeff. I don't care how many retweets you get.
I got a lot of retweets out of it. It's all good. I have a feeling you might be
All right. Hey, I appreciate
51-49.
it. Hey, like Walt Williams says, go Terps and nobody else. I'll see you guys. All right.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Scott.
Take
All
it
right.
easy.
See ya.
Thanks, man.
There he is. Your life complete now?
It is very good. We've had him on the show, I think, 3 other times, but it's SCP. Every time you get him, it's awesome, right?
And it's a post-game NCAA tournament show, which makes it pretty cool. I mean, he's spot on. I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to ask him about last week just because he knows so many people, has so many relationships, but what he said about
You had
Willard,
to. You're a journalist, Jeff. You had to, right?
Yeah. I mean, if Willard gets to the Sweet 16 now, this is going to be the most strong, fast, like reversal in approval rate. Not that his approval rating was down or the fans were down. I mean, they've had a great season, but there's still a lot of people who, haven't necessarily been sold. But a lot of those people also were very anti Damon Evans, like we talked about the other night. So if he, essentially ejects him or is a part of him leaving and bringing a new AD in at the same time as he goes to a Sweet 16 or beyond, there might be a statue outside Xfinity in like a couple weeks.
Jeff, don't be mad. I asked him to come back on Sunday. He said yes. We got a yes out of it.
He said, yeah, no. I like the superstitious angle.
Yeah,
so they just got to keep winning. And
that's how he is. He's one of us. I mean, we're all sitting there just like, okay, well, wherever you watch the game today, you got to watch the game on Sunday in the same place. And we got to plan on doing a post-game show and all that stuff. Everybody's going to do the same stuff. The thing about Willard, which is interesting too, is because now they're playing Colorado State. So you're going to get some of that snarky Maryland fan, like, this is like Turd getting to play, South Dakota State and Hawaii to get to his Sweet 16. You know what? I don't care. You play who's in front of you, right? I think Colorado State's better than Memphis. I don't care what their seed is. Like, I got eyeballs.
A Sweet 16 will keep the momentum going. Anything beyond that will set it off to a level that it hasn't been at in a long
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this team is good. They are really, they could lose Sunday, but this is a good basketball team. It is a very good basketball team. And like, there's no reason to have any reservations about this. I mean, you can look at the body of work. A team, yes, it has 8 losses, but by a combined like 30 points. No loss more than a 6-point loss at Washington. So also, by the way, side note, happy to slay the Seattle Dragon today. That was nice. I was hoping we didn't just have a cursed city that Maryland was playing in since the Washington loss up there in January. But they're good. They're really good. You should have expectations. You should feel like this is a team that if they got to play Florida and San Francisco, bring them. Let's do it. I mean, Maryland won't be favored, and I probably won't expect them to win, but I think they're good enough to beat anybody.
Yeah, the only bummer about that Florida matchup, if it happens, is they're not coming back to the East Coast to play it, or at least somewhere semi-regional, for the fans. It's so odd. I don't remember. Has there been another time where they went out west and just would have had to stay
2001.
out west?
2001, I'm pretty sure.
4 of the first.
I'm pretty sure they had to stay out there before going to Minneapolis for the Final Four. So it's happened before, and that's not a bad.
Paul just froze for me.
Paul just froze.
It's not a bad comparison if that's how they want to go ahead and play out. Yeah, we're having all types of weird internet issues.
Yeah,
hopefully you're still with us. We're on the fly here, obviously.
A lot of people, and so the system might be getting a little bogged down a little bit, but that's okay. The one thing I was going to say is major disaster averted. At least if they lose the next one, it's bad, but nowhere nowhere near as bad as if you get upset in the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be
So
very
that's what
deflating and disappointing, and some people would act like it was a disaster. Some would just be disappointed, but it wouldn't. Losing the first round, obviously, that would have been apocalyptic. And they should take care of Colorado State. They're good. They got a good coach, but like if you listen to Robbie Hummel and Jalen Rose, they were talking about how Maryland has everything you need, not only to go to the Final Four, but to win it all. So if you're that kind of team, beating Colorado State or any other scrappy 12 seed should just be something that you do.
Should be.
I mean, it's the NCAA tournament. Every team is good, right? I mean, it's just the way this works. And, Maryland's going to be favored. I'm sure they're considerable favorites on Ken Palm, let alone whatever, Vegas come up with 7.5 points, I think right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the box score.
They should win that game. If they don't, we'll have to have some tough conversations, but it kind of is what it is.
They held GCU to 28.6% for the game, which is almost unheard of.
Defense was very good. Even when they were struggling early on.
Wow, Derek 12 of 24 from the line is pretty crazy to be able to win by that. Yeah.
Derek Queen, 12 and 15, also 3 assists and 2 blocks. So good.
And what the funny thing was with Queen? I mean, he looked like he was just playing in slow motion, like he was like the 50-year-old guy in the pickup game, just kind of hanging out at the top of the key, but literally able to do whatever the hell he wanted to, whenever he wanted to. Like it was really, really enjoyable.
That one spin move he had on the baseline was pretty sweet.
Did you see the look on Cole? I think it was Cole's, who was the defender. Did you see the look on his face after Queen did that?
Yeah,
he was just like, is he allowed to do that? Like,
yeah.
We
got talk about athleticism, and they kind of confuse it with leaping ability, but there's a lot more to it. Just because Queen doesn't leap high doesn't mean he's not athletic. That's an athletic move for 6'10", 240 or whatever he is. Weight-wise, he's so light on his feet. It's incredible.
We got a boosted question from John Keniston. Thank you very much, sir. And he's asking odds Willard stays if we win Sunday. If Maryland wins Sunday, it's the same as if they lose, right?
My gut is that he's going to stay no matter what. That's my gut feeling. I keep hearing different things on whether he's actually Villanova's top choice. Most people, when I bring it up, they say, well, have they hired anybody yet? And why not? And that's a good point. So he could be, but I've also heard that maybe he's not. And, so I don't even know necessarily. Like there was one report that he was offered the job from the Trilly Donovan guy. Otherwise, no one else has come out with that. So I feel like if that was really the case, more media outlets would. But regardless, my gut, and from what I've heard, I really think that he sincerely was concerned about the resources, about the revenue sharing budget, travel, things like that, and he wanted to make his point to get that corrected. I don't think it's been about leaving for Villanova, but we won't know for sure until this tournament is done.
Well, and here's the thing, right? Now that Damon is official, well, maybe not officially, he hasn't signed anything yet, but he is 99% gone to SMU. It's going to take Daryl Pines and the people that are still at Maryland to make sure that Willard is taken care of in a way that he needs to, because they're not going to be able to hire an athletic director. They'll take months to do that. I mean, that's just Maryland moves slow on that stuff to begin with, but for something like this, it'll be even slower. So it's really going to come down to Dr. Pines. I think he's going to have to step in and make sure this gets done with the people who are still in the building. So I don't think you're going to be able to sit around and wait on this. You need to at least make sure that Willard feels like he's going to get what he needs so that he doesn't start flirting with that job if he's not already doing that and just, using this for whatever leverage he's got.
And I'll drop it, since we have so many people watching, I'll drop a little premium scoop for you, which I was planning. I'll still write about it tomorrow along with other aspects of the story. But I was told that Damon is still staying on till, as you do with a job sometimes, final 2 weeks, whatever it might be, and that Willard is still likely to negotiate with him after the tournament, or maybe after the first round. I don't know, which sounds like the most awkward negotiations.
Yeah.
In history. I'm not sure what motivation.
Yeah, how can Damon negotiate on behalf of Maryland when he's leaving? That is awful.
He's still the AD, and
but
they don't have an interim AD. He
can make any kind of decision on the way out the door. He doesn't have to worry about.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna pop holes in all the basketballs on his way out or something like that. He's a professional still. He's not gonna. But you do wonder, motivation wise. But maybe for him and his reputation, it probably makes sense to make Willard happy, and then maybe Willard will come out and say some positive things about that, and they can kind of squash that whole thing. I was surprised to hear it too. There's an outside possibility it won't go down that way, but it was a really good source. So that one surprised me a little bit.
That seems ridiculous in about 13 different ways, but if you want to game it out a little bit, it's not going to be a great look. It's already not a good look for Damon, but it's really not going to be a good look if, he leaves for SMU and also Kevin decides to roll out to Nova, and Damon's last act here is basically not doing his job. That's not going to be a thing he's going to want to do. So I don't know if that's necessarily the end of the world, but that's a really weird ass situation, and just so Maryland.
They better
if you don't do that, and if Damon leaves, well, even if they do it that way, it's still a little weird from Willard's perspective, because he would be signing a deal not knowing who he's working for next.
No, but they have long-term Maryland people in those negotiations as well, like Kirby or Pines, somebody who is staying at Maryland because Evans is good. He doesn't care. He's leaving. How can you trust him to make a decision which benefits Maryland for the long term?
There he's going to be up all night tonight worrying about Damon Evans TPing Xfinity Center.
It's not anything on Damon. It's anyone in that situation.
Yeah. You're right. It's very strange, but I guess what I assume is it's because otherwise you might not have somebody in there in that role capable of doing those negotiations anytime soon. And then you worry about, Willard leaving. So
I find it pretty hard to believe that Dr. Pines wouldn't step in and be a part of that situation. That's basically the president's job. He's the one person who's above the athletic director in the food chain here. So there's no way that Damon is just going to be doing this on his own. So I wouldn't be. It's weird, but it doesn't sound like a thing.
I'm sure there'll be others involved.
Yeah.
It's just in any other business.
Anyways, I got to go. Right,
could be in this
I'll be up all night working on stuff, so I got to get going.
All right, we'll
fair
talk
enough.
to you later. Go ahead.
What's that?
In any other business, as soon as someone gets fired or they're quitting, you take their laptop, right? Like you start.
You literally give them a box and put their stuff in it,
like,
and they walk out the door, right?
People can give 2 weeks, and if they're not in a leadership position, it's one thing. But this is that can't work. I don't
know. But look, there's a lot of things in flux here. Okay, and everybody behind the scenes at Maryland is going to be pushing their own, kind of stories and their perspectives here. So, not that I'm doubting Jeff's information, but I think there might be more to the story that we don't know at this point. The news has been coming a mile a minute here, which again is, why this is our fourth show of the week, and there will be another one on Sunday, one way or the other. So, I wouldn't get too upset about that. I think right now it's just like, all right, well, for Kevin's sake and for Maryland's sake, let's hope that they're able to get it done on Sunday, and then we'll have a nice, fun show. We'll bring back Scott, hopefully not during dinner time. So I appreciate him hopping on and ignoring the family for us for a couple minutes. And then we can worry about things like athletic department chatter and things that don't matter as much, hopefully, after a win.
What just a weird situation this whole thing is, with all that stuff looming over, hoping to win the games, and then they play
ridiculous.
so well at the same time. It's just a weird.
Well, seeing the basketball game is actually a bit of a palate cleanser. I mean, it was just like, oh, cool, that's right. They're just out there playing 40 minutes of ball. Like, we can enjoy that. We don't have to think about this machination or that one. They're just out there playing basketball, and they're really fun to watch play basketball. So I wouldn't be so worried about that. Let's enjoy, as Scott would say, let's enjoy the moments, and hopefully they'll have some more moments in the next couple weeks.
I'm definitely enjoying the moments from today, particularly DHS. It makes me so happy to watch a kid who committed to Maryland, who comes in, faces adversity, has struggled, and has kept a positive attitude and has worked his ass off to stay positive. He could kill the locker room, but he hasn't done that. And he comes out today and has the best game of his career in Maryland history. And it makes me so happy to see it. And this is what I love about college sports. And one of the things that makes me sad about what's happening now, this stuff is so awesome to when you get a kid and you're a Terp and they're a Terp and you fight together and you see them overcome and you see them succeed. And I just love it. It's the same kind of thing with Julian, with Juju. It's so rare.
Well, Geronimo too. I mean, Geronimo took a lot of flack from me above all on this show last year because he was being played out of position. But he's been excellent for this team. Just like Scott said, I wanted to see more of him. I mean, he's been really good and doing all the things we wanted him to do last year. But, Willard had to put him out at the 3 because there just weren't enough guys. So, that and then DHS, I mean, the 3 was great, but it was that breakaway layup where Derek Queen was rushing on onto the court to celebrate and had to be restrained by his teammates. I mean, they clearly this group seems to like each other. Like, they've got all the things you need for a team that wants to make a run. So you can't really feel any better about it than you do right now. And just got to hope they can get it done on Sunday.
Hope they can get it done on Sunday. Do you want to get in one last dig on the poor GCU students, Paul, before we end it?
Nah, they had enough. They had enough of a bad day. They don't need to hear from me.
They had enough of a bad day.
Study hard, kids. Get that degree.
Yes. I'm very happy to ruin their day. Yeah. But I wish them luck in life. Good luck. Do your thing. Yeah. And hopefully you guys can increase that graduation rate. Hopefully,
that's right. Pump it up. Let's get
Colorado State. Does anybody know the time?
Not yet. Probably later tonight or tomorrow morning, I think, is usually.
There'll be the early game, right? Because they had the early games today.
Not necessarily. Remember, they're on the West Coast, and on Sunday they don't quite start as early as they do on Thursday and Friday. So I think at worst you're probably doing a similar start time today, but you could be looking at a 7 or 7:30.
No, I didn't mean super early because the East Coast will go at noon, right? But they were 4:30 today, or mid-rangey type thing again.
Not necessarily.
No?
I mean, no, it can bounce around quite a bit, but they usually have the times out pretty soon. I said, I don't know if it'll be tonight, but probably tomorrow morning, if not.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you going to want to go live either way?
Yep. Either way.
All right. So I'm good with that. Hopefully it's going to be a great show, but we'll see you guys. We're going to come back Sunday after the game, hopefully after another win, which would mean a Sweet 16 for the Terps, which hasn't been very common, which would be amazing. And I guess if anything else weird happens, there's possibility of other shows too, right?
We would really like to take the day off tomorrow, if that's possible. I would really like to do that.
4 straight days, I think, right?
It's been 3 straight days, or
I don't know.
What day is it? I don't know what day. I don't know. It's 3 straight
Friday.
days for us, I think.
I forgot it was Friday too. Anyway.
Yeah, we did, because we did Sunday for Selection Sunday. We did Wednesday, Thursday. We did tonight. We're gonna do Sunday. So let's just keep winning. This is fun. We'll do if they keep winning, we'll keep doing shows.
Yes, of course. Hey, everybody, thank you guys so much. We had an amazing crowd today. please, on your way out, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. It really helps us. And you're going to know when we're going to be doing these shows. SVP promised to come back. You're going to want to come back and listen to him talk again. So please subscribe, hit like, all that stuff for us. So thank you very much. We're going to, they're saying Saturday, do a lax show, do a lacrosse show. I don't know.
Best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
All right. All right. Well, hey, hopefully Sunday after a victory, we're going to see you guys. This is IMS Radio.